Welcome to the second part of the Philco restoration project that I started a few weeks ago. This is the first time I've actually put myself visually on my broadcast. I'm always a bit cautious because I never think I'm the best looking guy to actually be featuring in any form of project of this nature. But I thought I'd let you all see what I actually look like rather than just the photograph which appears on the actual website. And it's the 19th of July, and it's been very wet here in Kent, and so rather than, I've been trying to cut the lawn, you know, which must be getting at least 2 feet high now, perhaps not much as that, but I thought perhaps I'd share with you some of the work that I have been doing in between other jobs and also my normal day work as well, which takes up quite a bit of my time, and some of you will know that. But I thought I would like to thank everyone for watching my broadcast and actually giving me plenty of nice feedback, because that's what I like to hear. Feedback is something we have a gift to give, and certainly when I give feedback to all my friends out there, it's an important part of the sort of relationship that we have on YouTube. So anyway, just moving on, I've actually taken the deck now out of the player. If you remember let me just try and get my little gorilla grip here in the right position for you, because that's quite important. I think that might be about right. If I just, so I might need to put it a bit further down. Let me just do that. There we go, that's better. That's it. There we go. I've got one of these gorilla grips, which is quite useful because I can actually adjust things easier. Now you can probably see here, there's a mechanism here which actually arranges the speed adjustment. And what I've done, just to let you know, I've taken the motor out, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I had a conundrum with this because for a few weeks I couldn't work out why the darn thing wouldn't run properly. And this was due to, and probably those who know BRS decks probably are aware of this, and I'm probably learning this myself, but there's a post, this small post here, I think you can just about see that, and that fits into the chassis of the player, which goes in there, and then underneath this actually fixes with a nut. I don't know if you can see that at all. I'll get that into camera shot. Underneath with a nut and a little washer that retains it. And the thing about this interesting bit of kit is that part of it is that as the idle wheel, which actually fits on here, I don't know whether you can see that, but the idle wheel fits onto there, and then it has a split ring which keeps it running. That actually fits onto the post. The post fits into the slot. You can see that or not. And then that actually fits into there. And what was happening was the whole thing was seized up. And so good old Richard was thinking, oh well, the post moves together. You know, it moves up. In fact, that isn't the case. The post stays static, and the actual, just put that back in there, the actual mechanism runs up and down with a spring. So as the motor drive stays constant, the idle wheel then moves up and down on this post, which at the moment of course hasn't got any grease on it, so of course it won't move very easily. And of course the last 40 years it's probably been stuck in some sort of cupboard or loft, this player, because I got this from a guy up the road, a place called near Sevenoaks, and the whole thing moves up and down. So I've now freed it up. Now how I did that was to use some methylated spirit. I soaked it for a few minutes, few hours in there. I had some lunch, and I've come back now and I've just cleaned it all off. So now we've got a precision piece of engineering on this aluminium runner. I've now cleaned that off. And the other interesting thing is that, of course, this mechanism, if you can see that, runs up and down. And this correlates to the 78, 45, 33, and then an N, which is actually, which I imagine means neutral, because it takes the motor off running, and 16. And that's held in with a small spring clip here as well. So that's the first thing I did. And the other thing I've done also is I've completely, just let me adjust this slightly because I can't see what, completely cleaned off the back of the chassis, and you might be able to see that now, and cleaned all the mechanism off. And this is where the arm is here. So we're getting there. We're getting there very slowly, and I'm now in the process of cleaning off all the sprockets from the return mechanism. And this is the arm which has got its, just made sure the styluses don't get damaged. So we are getting there very slowly, but I just thought I'd update you on that. The other thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to replace the bushes that are actually on the motor, and I've taken the motor out. This is the motor, free, no problem there. Obviously I should take the back screws off and give it some grease, clean it out, give it some grease. This controls the speed, which of course the idle wheel will then run against this, and if I explain that a little more, the idle wheel runs against this. That's 16, 33, 45, and the bottom one will be 78, and that acts as drive between the motor itself, and it's geared down by this precision piece of aluminium, and then runs against the side of the turntable, and that's the turntable there, and that sprocket fits into the return on a free. So I'm going to do that now. I mean, this also has a micro switch, which is the when it turns off, when it goes into the neutral position, when the arm goes across, and that will turn off. So again, that part of the project I will do, and I've actually just severed the cables from the transformer inside the main player itself, which is literally what we're sitting on at the moment. So just let you know that. So that's the next stage. So we are moving ahead slowly, and I feel quite excited now. I've actually got past that impasse of knowing, well, you know, what is up with this player, where can it go? I'm also going to have to replace the bushes, and let me just show, have I got those in here? Oh, I haven't got those in here. I'm going to have to replace the bushes. Oh, there they are. These bushes are the ones which actually were in here, and they obviously act as a fixing, but also they reduce the amount of hum that will be transmitted from the motor to the turntable, and then of course onto the pickup. They've perished quite badly, but there's an answer. You can't get those obviously, but I've discovered, repairing record players and gramophones, that if you use ones that you fill in spaces with on your car when you make a hole, little grommets there, I think they call these are made in Germany, they call these, I think they're called membrane grommets, they're called. I've used those, and I've used also tap washers before now, half-inch tap washers. If you use those, you can actually get, they do actually work. You just make a hole in the middle, and they work exactly the same, so fill the same function. So I'm going to use those, so that'd be an interesting little project there to follow that through. But I thought it'd be worth just letting you know how things are going. And also I've done quite a bit of cleaning up. I mean, this is it's quite mucky, and I've removed all the old, you can see that at all on the camera, all the old grease there that was mucking here, because obviously it gets carpet dust and God knows what else in there into this mechanism. So this is the cable that connects your feed from the cartridge into the amplifier. It's got a screen on there, and also the main positive as well, so that just fits inside the amp when I get that far. If you remember, it was quite crackly. I've got to sort that out. That's the second part of it really, but it's important to get this part done for my old friend Philco. And I do find this BSR deck quite attractive. The fact of using gold and this beige colour really sets it into the era of the 50s, early 50s, 1951 this machine, and it does actually fit it quite nicely into that. Interesting to note, I noticed also that when you put the switch on here, it's actually got 16, 33, 45 and 78 on this knob, and yet this knob doesn't control speed at all. That one does, which tells me that either it's been replaced, or they just, as BSR, decided to use the same knob for convenience, you know, which is a interesting way of doing things, if anything else. There you go. Anyway, and thanks for watching.